And my telephone died, not because it wasn't charged, but because all those whom I called friends delinked themselves from me.
My goodness. And nobody is calling now?
Nobody.
First, when you go to court, it was ringing off the hook.
When I was going to court, it was ringing off the hook. As soon as the charges were read to me, and I was now branded someone who had a case, things just changed.
Hey everybody, my name is Angie Murenga. You're watching Just Angie. It's Lifestyle Thursday, and I'm continuing with my guest Rebecca, Becky as we call her. And she ended it very powerfully. And tomorrow, this is Thursday, tomorrow is Good Friday. She ended it very powerfully, and I thought God is amazing, because she said she felt like a lamb led to the slaughter. And there's a scripture reference, scripture makes reference to that Jesus Christ was like a lamb being led to the slaughter. And it's actually tomorrow that his judgment was pronounced. And Good Friday, he was sentenced to die. And he died, or maybe he was sentenced on Thursday. But I thought that's such an ample place to pick this up from. So it's important that we remember Easter is about more than just eating and drinking and having, I think, holidays and just excitement. That Jesus Christ actually died to reconcile us back to God, to tear the curtain. And I like the way somebody explained it. They said it's like if we're two prisoners condemned, let's say, on death row, and you hear the footsteps of the soldiers coming to get you, but instead of getting you, they get Jesus. So he stood in the gap for us.
Amen.
Because everything you've explained, Rebecca, I think that's my worst nightmare. But, you know, here you are. You were living that nightmare. And here we are today. And the whole idea of doing these lifestyle segments, especially when I said I wanted to also partner with Clean Start, is first of all to get people not to go to prison and to be aware that they can. So to be conscious and deliberate about what's happening. For you, for some reason, I feel like it's a witch hunt, but I don't know. Let's just see where it goes. But I don't know. But God allows experiences to happen to us so that we can share them.
Yes,
and encourage others, strengthen others. That's why your statement to me, that when you looked around you, you said, if these are human beings and they're surviving here, me too, I'm going to survive. Yes. But I can imagine, for me, I feel like when you're speaking, because I feel like I'm living that moment, I feel like life, the bottom has fallen out of my life. Because here you are. So all the cameras are here. This person is recording. You're a lamb led to the slaughter, and you're going to court.
Yes. And I went to court, and I saw my co-accused.
The other two?
The other two, they were gentlemen. And we stood at the dock, and the charges were read to us. And I didn't even know what to say, because I had never even really concentrated on a movie showing anyone in court. So when they read the charges to us, I looked at my lawyer, and she told me to say not guilty. And that's what I said. It was true, but I didn't even know when I'm supposed to say it. So I said not guilty, and we were sent down to the cells and given a bail. We were actually given a fine to pay, to bail us until the hearing started. So by that time, our relatives were there, our friends were there, they paid the bail for us, and we were sent home to wait for now the court sessions to begin. And they began. They started in 2009.
And were you arrested in 2009?
I was arrested in 2009, May. And the court case started immediately, I think a week after that.
Really?
Yes.
How come so quickly?
Yes, it was a hot piece
case.
Yes, it was a hot piece of news. So it went on from 2009 to 2012.
3 years.
3 years. 3 lonely years, Pastor.
Oh, Rebecca.
3 lonely years.
Don't make me cry. Why
because
now?
as soon as the charges were read to me, I was branded a criminal. So, according to government procedures, I was put on suspension on half pay. So, I couldn't go back to the office, not even the following day, to get my personal belongings. That was it, because I had been arraigned in court and I had a case to answer. That was it. So I went home and my telephone died. Not because it wasn't charged, but because all those whom I called friends delinked themselves from me.
My goodness. And nobody is calling now?
Nobody.
First, when you were going to court, it was ringing off the hook.
When I was going to court, it was ringing off the hook. As soon as the charges were read to me, and I was now branded someone who had a case, things just changed.
Becky, even close friends, you don't have to at least try. Close, what we call close friends.
It was gradual, okay? It was gradual.
So first the colleagues, that one stops.
First, the acquaintances. The acquaintances died off. And then the friends died off gradually.
Even the friends die off.
And then even the close friends started dying off. So the phone went quieter, quieter, quiet.
And you're in this alone.
I was in this alone, save for my parents.
Okay, parents will always be there for
my
you.
My parents supported me. My siblings were out of the country. My children were out of the country. I was literally alone. So it was a very, very difficult 3 years, going through court with no friends. The trauma. And I was in the headlines for the entire 3 years. My case was being followed very closely by the media, international, local. Everyone knew about me. Everybody knew about me, Pastor. I couldn't even go shopping, because if I went shopping and presented my card, my debit card, the teller would read my name and look up at me and say, "Oh, so you're the one." And I got so scared. I was so traumatized. I couldn't get out of my gate. I just used to stay home and be by myself. I couldn't watch TV. I could hardly read the Bible. I stopped going to church. It was a very lonely time because I was branded even before I was sentenced.
And you know, that's what they say. Sometimes in this nation, you're convicted even before the actual conviction happens. People judge.
Yes.
But I think, what did you learn, Becky? Because, I mean, I know it's not easy, but I don't think God's tests are ever easy, all the things that we go through.
Yeah.
But what did you learn? What did you learn about yourself?
What I learned about myself was that I was strong.
God, strong.
I got a strength that came from, I didn't know where, but I realized it was God because I didn't break. Yeah. I didn't break. Yeah. Even through that loneliness, I could hear that still small voice telling me that I am with you. Wow. And I will never leave you, and I will never forsake you. These are the testing times. This is the refiner's fire.
It is.
I knew it, and I
it's
heard
not
it.
easy. It's the wilderness. It's all those things that we say, but it's not easy. Yes. And we can try to mention it, but 3 years is a long time. Waking up every day, you're alone. There's a case here. You can't make heads or tails of it or sense of it. And I think it's also natural. We shouldn't lie that you don't want to read the word, you don't want to read the Bible, you don't want to do it church. But this is the place where other people are supposed to support you in prayer, which I guess is what your parents did.
Yes.
They probably carried you and your siblings, maybe wherever they were, and your children.
Yes.
Because that's the point. There's always a point that gets to where we can't pray for ourselves. Sometimes it's when we're sick or when this has happened, but the whole idea is to be encouraged by others. And sometimes I think to have a bank of all the prayers and everything you had done up to that point.
Indeed.
Which carry you.
Indeed. And I think that's what carried me. All the prayers that I had been praying, the word that I had been reading, I had been storing it for myself for a time such as that. It was a difficult time, Pastor. But after the 3 years, come 2012, I was sentenced. I was found guilty and I was sentenced for 7 years.
Of jail.
Of jail.
You know, you told me the story about how your mom was expecting. Was they expecting bail?
So on the day I was going to hear, to get the judgment was going to be read, I came from home. I was with my husband and my son. One of my sons had come back just to be with me.
Oh.
So we drove to court. It was Milimani Court. And Pastor, I saw the prison bus coming into court. And I got this deep feeling in my heart that I was going to go back in that bus.
See how I always say we are powerful spirit beings, that we know things and that we can resonate with things. Yes. So when you saw it, you knew.
So when I saw it, I knew I'm going to get into that bus. My mom didn't come to court that day. My mom had been coming to court. My mom and my dad had been coming to court every single time, every single day for 3 years. And they're elderly people. And they would come to court. My mom this day said, I will not come to court. Instead, let me go to the bank. So when they read out the fine, you will call me.
Imagine.
And I will withdraw the money
and come
and
bring it.
And bring it.
Look at moms.
I told mom.
Practical wisdom.
Thank you. Practical wisdom. So I went with my dad and my husband and my son. And of course, those who were interested, because there was a lot of interest to know how all this was going to end, came to court. And we were called to stand at the dock, and we did. And the charges were read for us. And I was listening. And again, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I felt, no, the judge is talking about another case, not this one. Because what I was hearing was not what I was expecting. And for the first time, I experienced shock. I was shocked, Pastor, because I could hear the sentences being read out with no option of fine. No option of fine. Count 1, count 2, count 3, count 4. No option of fine, no option of fine. Until the years accumulated to 7 years. Some were 4 years, others 3. But you know, they combined them all. So it was a sentence of 7 years. And immediately she hit the, whatever it's called, gavel on her desk. That was it. Life changed. I no longer joined my family. I had a prison warden next to me, and off we went to the cells. When we got to the cells, I realized what had happened. And I called my mom. I remembered. My mom was at the bank waiting, and I called mom.
You had your phone?
Yes. I didn't have my phone, but they gave me a phone.
To call?
To call. They allowed me to
So you had to remember her number?
Yes, I did. I called my mom and I told my mom, Mom, don't bother withdrawing any money. I've not been fined. And she was like, oh, I said I've been sentenced to 7 years. And the line went dead.
She must have collapsed where she was. Maybe God was saving her from seeing it. Maybe she couldn't have taken it.
She couldn't have taken it. And that was it, Pastor. From there, I got into that bus that I had seen coming in.
Was your heart beating wildly? Because I'm trying to imagine myself that my heart would be beating wildly. Were you seeing what else was going on around you?
No. The only thing I said, Lord, you who has allowed this to happen to me, must take me through it. Go before me. I have no idea what is waiting for me on the other side, but go before me.
My God.
Take me through this. On my own, I cannot. And I remembered Moses when he was going to the wilderness. With that multitude of people, he was being asked to lead. And I said, Lord, I'm going alone. But if you don't go with me, I don't know what will happen to me. Just go with me. And I felt his presence around me, surrounding me. And I stopped crying. I waved goodbye to my family. And I got into the bus. And I started my sentence at Langata.
I want us to talk about that next. Before we go there, in the 3 years as they were building up on this case, could you tell that this was the way it was going? Did they have evidence? Was this the way, were you saying that this is where it's going to me being sentenced?
No, not at all. Not at all. Because my case was very clear. We combed through it. We combed through every charge with my lawyer. Through every charge with my lawyer. But when it went through the lower courts, the magistrate actually said I had a case to answer. And even after she said that, we still knew that we had hope. We still knew that I didn't have a case. And we still knew that things were going to be okay. So this came as a big shock to me and to my lawyer and to my family. It was a big shock, Pastor. It was unexpected.
This was not the expected outcome.
No.
You were sure that you had made your case and that you were heading to the right direction.
Yes.
But maybe, we can discuss that next. Maybe, do you think that they were trying to make an example out of you?
I will not say what I think. I will say what I know.
Okay.
And I will say that my steps, the steps of a righteous man are ordered by God. So it doesn't matter what anybody does. If God has said it will happen, it will happen.
Yeah.
And so I did not spend time or energy thinking about what was being planned around me by people. I focused on what God's plans were going to be.
Okay.
So at that time when the gavel met the desk and I was sentenced, I said, God, if this is what you are not the judge, if this is what you have decided, let it be. Okay. But go with me.
All right.
Yes.
There we are. Me, I don't even know whether there's nothing to add. Let's connect next Thursday for the last and final part of this story. God bless you.